Hello, hello. I
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Mihir, how are you? I
Good. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. So I'm Morgan Dorme, the president of Plume Social, and I have the pleasure of being here today with one of the top business coaches in Australia, Mihir Thaker. Welcome, Mihir.
Pleasure to be here, Morgan.
Awesome, awesome. So, folks, Mihir is not only an amazing coach who gets astonishing results for his clients, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which I love. He's also an author. His book is The Money Experience System. And one of the things that I love about what Mahir teaches and how he teaches it, he teaches about money and how you relate to money and how people relate to money. And really he does amazing things about shifting people's relationship to money, such that he and I love this about you, Mahir, that you take people from a place where they are struggling with money or worried about money or fearful around money and into a place where actually money just sort of shows up in their lives in a way that it never has before. And we'll talk in more detail about that. I love, Mihir, how you also, one of the things we're obviously going to talk about today, which is really important, is how you turn the amazing contents of your book into a workshop. And so the great thing about this is we can actually get some in-person FaceTime with you, which is great. Because you're good in the book and there's great material in the book, but I've seen how great are the results that you get when you work with people in person. So it's really really exciting to have you here. So welcome.
Same here. Thank you.
Great. So before we get into some of the details and what you're up to, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit, if that's all right with you.
Sure. Go for it.
Great. So so one of the things, hey, I'm one of the folks as well that I have struggles with money and concerns about it. Even we do quite well, but it's that funny thing of like it's all there's that piece of sometimes it's never enough. Tell me a little bit about because you do so much work with people around money. Why do people or why do human beings struggle with money?
I think it's an excellent question. If you look at money, it's become so synonymous with a sense of worth. Like we talk about money as what's your net worth, what's your worth, right? And it's such a shameful thing that we do to ourselves when we associate something that is tangible, something that is physical, with something that is so intangible, our sense of self-worth, right?
Right.
And then all you need are few pieces of evidence which says, oh, your bank account shows this much, so that's what probably you are worth. And then on top of it, you have a lot of societal conditioning, your upbringing. So why is it that people are so stuck when it comes to money? I think for me, having worked with so many entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and people in various walks of life, I've seen repeatedly that it goes back to the system, to the upbringing, to the environment in which they were created in the first place. Essentially, what I mean by that is the family of origin has a big impact in how you form and relate your sense of identity around money. Okay. And from the identity, what comes about are a set of beliefs that naturally flow from being, belonging to a certain family. So usually, here's the thing. I mean, there are a lot of talks about people say there is a belief system work, people do a lot of belief change work and things like that. Very rarely do people come across an identity change work. Right? Because when your identity in something is stuck, that is when you actually will show up in that level of identity in every other area of your life.
Right.
So what is not shown, what is not taught out there is the fact that we all know that generally there's a saying that by the time you're 6 or 7, your imprinting around everything in life is kind of set and done, right? Which is not totally true. It is absolutely revisable, your initial imprinting around money. And what is also not shared is that by the time you're 5, 6, or 7 years of age, actually, there is also an energetic construct that kids, as infants, as kids, we pick up on. Far too often we are so stuck on, oh, this happened to me at 6 years of age. It's not only the content of it, but also the energetic construct behind all of that. So for me, when I'm working with my clients, that is the first deep dive that we do as to energetically how deep is the imprinting about something.
Hmm.
How much are these people, individuals, who are trying to belong to their family of origin by propagating the same set of beliefs and identities so that they can be in rapport with their mom and dad and parents and grandparents and everything else that sits in their family of origin. So that's one of the biggest reasons what I see is where people are kind of stuck when it comes to money.
Got it. So it's the sort of thing where, if our parents struggled with money, the likelihood is that we're also going to struggle with money, and that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does make sense to it's a sad conclusion, but to a certain degree, we do try to, in a way, we do try to be in rapport with them because it's hard for a child to suddenly experience something that their ancestors have never had an opportunity to experience that in their lives. Yeah. But the other key thing that I want to add, which is equally true, is far too often you might have people who might have somewhat resolved relationship with money. But at the same time, they don't necessarily access the best of business strategies when it comes to executing and putting things in the right order in their daily life and in their business so as to maximize the output, right? One of my coaches, as you know, Brian Franklin, he talks quite a lot about sequencing, of putting things in the right order so that you can get the maximum output at the end of the day. Right? Yeah, no matter, let's say you're connecting a water supply in your house. At the end of the day, you need the tap to be at the front end so that the water can flow out through that. Putting a tap at the source and locking it up and putting the pipe at the other end is not going to let the water flow.
Right.
Simple.
Yeah.
And in a business setting, similar things apply, right? People go about trying to sell their services without actually building a good set of leads, a good set of systems, a good messaging about who they are, what they stand for. So for me, it's the inner side of it, our imprinting, our relationship with our family of origin, our belief systems around money, and then externally, what are your systems? How is your business operating? Do you know where your next customer is going to come from? So those are the two key things where I feel so many businesses are often stuck when it comes to money.
Got it. And in terms of so tell me a little bit about who you're working with and who you like working with, who you want, what types of people are coming to you, because obviously it's this, you have such incredible results with entrepreneurs and business folks, and we can, you can share a little bit about that with the audience now, and maybe I'll do that as well. Just I love some of the results you've gotten, whether it's with we can talk about some of the specific clients who have given you such glowing testimonials like the Denmans or a few of the others that you just gotten astonishing results for. And so, like, who are the folks that you're really, you see yourself as making such an enormous difference with? What are the pieces that people need to have in place to be able to work with you?
Sure. I think in general, there is a qualitative aspect to it, and there is a job title aspect to it as well. I love working with coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, small business owners, or practitioners, experts, anybody who's running their own business, be it a small to medium business, so somewhere between one person as a sole operator, all the way to about 15 to 20 people in the business. Right? That's kind of like the range that I like to work with. But more importantly, the qualitative aspects that I look for is that there needs to be some sort of a heart-centeredness around what they do, a purpose of why they are doing it, and a sense of contribution to the bigger community at large. Because some of the stuff that I teach, it will make money, but at the same time, if there is no heart or soul behind it in what you're doing, then it doesn't give me, fulfillment of having shared something valuable. So I like people who are who enjoys taking a sense of action, who are out there playing the game, right? Because at the end of the day, as you know, coaching can work effectively when you have the most powerful coach, but at the same time, you have people who are also going up, players who are willing to play the game in the best possible way. So for me, I like people who are action takers. I like people working with individuals who have a business that is, say, somewhere, at least at a minimum, it needs to be turning over 100K or more. Yeah. Because so from a job title point of view, it's extremely wide, but at the same time, these are some of the things that I look for. Now, the reason why I say that is as you know, in an initial startup phase, a lot of time and money gets invested in building the infrastructures.
Mm-hmm.
Be it your website, be it your marketing side of things, spending your time at networking events, building your lead list and things like that. So those are the aspects that I feel that individuals, once they start doing it on their own, they get a sense of their own value and their messaging gets quite clear.
Mm.
And which I feel that if they're committed enough to be in that business of whatever they are doing, they will be able to automatically get to a point of creating the right value and be able to pitch it so that their business can grow at least until the first six-figure mark.
Mm-hmm.
So I love working with people who are at that point, who at least have figured out what their game is, where they want to play, how they want to go about, and then I enjoy scaling it up pretty quickly and helping them sequence it right, doing all the change work that is needed for them to rapidly grow through that process.
I love it. I love the whole piece about heart-centered and doing something for good. I was with John Benson just last week. I'm not sure if how well you know John, but one of the world's top copywriters. He's just a brilliant guy, and he was sharing some of the stuff with an audience a little bit later, and he was talking. He did this great thing where he said, you can use this for good or for evil, but if you're going to use it for evil, get out of the room. I don't want you here. I don't want to sell this to you. I don't want you to buy it. Because what he's teaching in the same way, what you're teaching, people can use it for good and they can use it for evil. Let's get some more good in the world. Let's get some heart-centered focus, and let's use it in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So we're going to talk in a minute about the workshop, because I know you have the Money Experience workshop coming up. But as we do that, I'd love, one of the things, one of the pieces that I really like and really respect about what you do is so much of your work is rooted into NLP and deep brain science, and it's funny because and you and I have talked a little bit about this, that there are aspects of work that you do, and sometimes there's aspects of work that I do that feels a little bit, especially with the internal workings, and when you're looking at at making really major changes, as you talked about, identity change work, which is really, really hard. Sometimes you got to go in and you got to do things a little bit differently, and I know that you do some brain work and brain science work and brain focused work with your clients, which is really great, and deep NLP sort of founding stuff. So maybe as we talk about the workshop and what's available for people, one of the things, maybe share a little bit about that. But I'd love to to kind of dive in, and maybe you can share one of the strategies, one of the things that our audience can do. They can actually take a look at and see if there's something that you can actually give them to try. One of the exercises, I love one of the pieces of that we've talked about in the past, which is where it's I really want something, but I got the fear that's holding me back, and this great exercise that you do with your clients, which is really about transforming that and removing or negating some of those fears and really turning them from a negative charge into a positive charge. So maybe that one or one of the others that are the types of things that people can expect when they actually work with you in person, because I think it's so valuable to get an experience of that. So I'd love to have the audience get that.
Sure. Just to add on to what you shared about what I do, there's a big part of my work that I do is derived quite a lot from the spiritual side of things, working with the heart and bringing in the energetic components of it. And because at the end of the day, beyond your words, beyond your sentences, we are quite strongly kinesthetic about how we feel in our lives about things, right? And unless we can actually fine tune and tap into that aspects of us, it becomes a bit tricky to shift things around. And that is where I found the highest leverage point in terms of creating rapid change and success, right? So it's great that you want me to share a little bit about one of the exercises that we can do so as to have this experience of push-pull when people feel when it comes to creating the outcomes that they want. Here's a short exercise. Let's try this one out. So let's say usually whenever there's a methodology around how humans go about asking for what it is that they want, and the structure around that is that usually humans will always want something that is just outside their current system, something that will give them just enough juice to move towards but also at the same time enough resistance to not have it in their lives right away. Right? That is how we work. So there is a force, and there is the force, the drive, the thing that pulls us in that direction, but then we feel this kind of a pull, something within us. And that can show up in many ways, actually. It can show up as an emotional, full-fledged emotional reaction within us, like, oh, I don't feel I'm ready yet. That's one of the key things that I keep hearing all the time. Or I don't feel good enough to charge higher value or things like that. Or I say, oh, I'm not able to find the right set of customers where I should go. So it can show up in an internal construct or an external side of it as well. So here's what we do. I'll keep it as simple as possible, and that's what I love when I'm working at the energetic level. Things are very simple and easy. You don't need to engage too much of your brain power in that. So for example, think of the result that you want in your life. When it comes to, be it money, let's use money as an example. So think of a result, right? And effectively, what comes to your mind when you think about that? What is the feeling that you experience when you think about
that? So for me, do you want me to go through it, or do you want to just create this as an exercise?
Let's just use, we don't want to go into the context, the details of it, but I just want you to try the energetic aspect of it. So maybe what's the feeling that comes about immediately when you think about the next goal that you would like to achieve?
So there's freedom and there's some excitement.
Okay, so there's freedom and excitement. Now, let's assume that at a deeper level, there is something that is, if you don't have that in your life, there is something else that is actually holding you back in being able to achieve that.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were to just allow yourself to experience what is it at the core of it, be it at a kinesthetic level, what is it that is, what comes up that stops you from having that experience of freedom?
So for me, what comes up is fear, and there's a question of self-worth.
Okay, all right. So let's do one thing. Now this is where the exercise begins. So now we have identified the positive side of it. There is the excitement and the freedom. And the negative aspects are the fear and the self-worth aspects, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now imagine you're sitting, in one of those recording studios where you have the singer who's inside this chamber and you are in front of this large mixing board and things like that, right? So let's assume that inside that you are seeing two big bubbles. One of them, energetically, is the bubble that represents the positive kinesthetic feelings. All right?
Yep.
And the other one is the bubble that represents all the negative kinesthetic feelings about it.
Got it.
Now, in front of you are two sliders that actually allow you to provide energy to both these bubbles and make them grow as big as you want and make them grow as small as you want. Okay? And there is a digital meter that reads out the values for both of these. Now, have a look at these meters in front of you. Look at the one that has the positive kinesthetic, the slider that does that. Get the initial reading on it. So let's say on a scale of 0 to infinity, where would you put that number at currently?
85.
85, all right. And realize that this slider has no upper limit, so it can go as high as you would like to pump it, all right?
Okay.
And look at the negative one. What's the initial reading on that one?
120.
120. There you go. So you can see just by that calibration itself, you know why there is something so heavily that is holding you back from actually receiving. Because even if you do simple maths, right, you are about 35 points off.
Yep.
Negative. Now here's what I need you to do. Put your hands on both of these sliders and start amping it up as much as you can internally in your mind's eye, to the point that you can start feeling that these bubbles are actually growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, just to the point that they start occupying enough space where they are close enough to touch each other. So allow that.
Both the positive and the negative I want to increase in size.
All at once, both of them. Just start ramping them up strongly. Right? And realize there is no limit to how much. Yep, keep going at it, and just a fraction of a point before you know that they're going to touch each other.
Okay.
And now just amp it up to the next notch so that they start touching each other, and immediately at that moment start seeing that this is matter and antimatter touching each other at a deeper level, and it starts to annihilate each other. It's almost like a neutralization of process of both these sides of things.
Got it.
And keep going it to the point that you can feel that the whole energy in the room is now like there should not be any charge left between any of these polar opposite points.
Yeah, it's like it all went away.
All of it. Just keep amping it, keep amping all the way down. And then if you want to try it out, just amp it down all the way back to 0. See how that room chamber feels in front of you.
Yeah,
and then amp.
it feels really quiet and empty.
Okay. And then amp it up again to see if there's any remaining charge hiding anywhere in any corners of the room for any of these, to the point that the full room becomes completely just pure neutral energy.
Okay.
Okay. And you can keep doing this exercise as many times as you like, so you can come back here, Morgan. And and now, if you were to just again think of that goal that you thought about earlier.
It's interesting. There's not the same charge on it as there was. There's not the excitement there, and when I dive in, there's not the same level of fear either. It's a very neutral charge.
Exactly, and to a greater degree, I know this goes against the grain of what is taught out there in many ways, that you have to feel excited about your goal, etc. Well, how about if we were to just wake up and walk into the goal that we have always been looking for? Would that be okay with you? Do you have to have the shenanigans along the way for you to have the experience of whatever you want to experience?
That's great. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is where, because what happens in these exercises that we did, we are kind of disentangling our identity from both sides of the equation. And then you are free to choose, not only free to choose, but actually just walk and have it, rather than having to think about, should I have it or not? Should I reach out for that or not? You just wake up. It's like pouring a box of cereal in your bowl and just eating it, right? You don't think about it like, oh, should I go out and have that box of cereal, that cereal today or not?
Got it. Because in the absence of the judgment, positive or negative, then you can actually choose freely. That's great.
You're free. You're free from the identity that surrounds that results in the first place. So this is a very tiny charge, but exercise, but you can see the impact that this can have. So
wow.
There's a lot of level of work that we can do.
Yeah, that's really powerful, and I love that sense, right? Because what it does is yes, you take away the positive, you take away the negative, suddenly there's this freedom and the ability to choose. And I can actually feel it energetically, like, and I think about it, there's no longer that, like, ooh, excitement, maybe I'll have that. And there's no longer the negative, like, well, I'm not really going to have that, I can't really have that. And so there's none of it there, and so it feels actually the freedom to just be able to kind of, as you said, step into it and be like, get up and like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and this is what we call, from a spiritual point of view, we call that you are actually way beyond any of your identities that are limiting you anyway. This is true. You truly are the essence of that spark of light or love and everything that we talk about, right? In that spiritual realm of things.
I love it. It's great. It's great.
Thanks.
So, and for those of you at home, if you didn't try this, go back, rewind, and do that exercise with Mihir. Have him walk you through it. You'll see the difference. It's really that's really a great one. Excellent. Thanks. Beautiful. So tell us a little bit more about the Money Experience Workshop. This is that one exercise that you just did here with me. Obviously, you've got a weekend long full of content. So I know you'll be focusing on the internal and the external. What kind of things can we expect from the workshop? And maybe we didn't do this a little bit, and I know you're a little bit you play a little bit close to the chest with some of your results, which are truly astounding. So I'm going to share actually one of them, if I might take a moment. I'll talk about Natasha and Stuart Denman, who just sing your praises, and rightfully so, because I know you started working with them just a few short months ago. And Natasha, who is the Ultimate 48 Hour, the creator of the Ultimate 48 Hour author system, and you just started working with them, and they fantastic results just in a matter of a couple of months. They delivered what they were looking for. I think it was for their 6-month or their yearly. I think it was 6 weeks. You actually helped them deliver what they were looking for in 6 months, which was $250,000, which was phenomenal. I actually think it was $300,000. So, just amazing results that you're getting out of working with people, and they're not the only ones. So, what can people expect out of the workshop?
So I think I've always wanted to have workshops where people actually do walk away feeling transformed out of it, and not just walk away with more content. So this workshop is specifically experiential in nature. It has been designed in a way so that you go in, you go through the transformation at the event, and you go out and you start actually living at the next level of identity that is more aligned with where you would like to be in your business and in your personal life as well. So it's a 3-day event. And effectively, day one is absolutely about changing, rewiring your relationship with money and success. And in terms of how you are relating it from a belief point of view, like the kind of exercises that we did, right? We just did a small exercise, but it's something that is so fundamentally deep to shifting your identity around it. And then day two, we go deeply into the systemic side of it. Right? In the systemic aspects, we look at how your family of origin actually has played such a massive important part in your relationship with money. So we have an expert facilitator who does a lot of family constellation work, family change work as well, who will be there running that event for that day, and laying out all the elements that are actually hidden in your system that are holding you back in moving forward in your life. And day three is when we start bringing out all the external strategies, things that you need to know from a sales point of view, from a marketing point of view, from website design, from getting your branding in the right place, how to find the right set of leads, essentially how to run your system, how to run your business with the right numbers in place. So we have some of the top entrepreneurs and business coaches as well who are winning their game in a massive way, who will be there actually running and sharing their secrets of what is working in their business. Right. So effectively, it's an amazing like paint by numbers type of a system where we give you the templates, you start filling it in then and there, start creating and structuring and sequencing out what is needed for you to have the level of outcome, the goals that you're looking for. And so when we have cleared up the internal and the external, there is absolutely, you can just go out and play your big game and be successful at it. Pretty rapidly.
Clear out the external, and then you got the space for creation, which is awesome.
Yeah. So it's a 3-day event, powerfully designed, just to help you really achieve the results. Because for me, it's absolutely about people getting the results. I've been in too many events where I've been let down. So I'm like, okay, this is the time for me to actually provide something that absolutely is opposite to all of that kind of stuff.
I love it. That's fabulous. So how do people sign up? How do they find out more? How do they end up getting into the workshop? If they want to learn more about you, tell us more.
Sure. There is the link that we have created. It's on my website and /workshop. So it's mihirthaker.com.au/workshop. So that's one. That's a good way for them to know, for people to know about what they need to do. And of course, there is a qualifying criteria as well, that they need to have some vehicle in place, right? That they need to have some form of business that's operating at the moment for them to be at this workshop and benefit from it. So and then there are 25 spots only at this event, essentially. And many of them have already been filled up. So there are a few spots remaining. So it's filling up pretty quickly. So they can go in there and sign up right away.
I'm not surprised that it is filling up really quickly with what you're able to deliver and how you deliver to people, which is awesome. So we'll pop that link up once again in just a moment for you folks. mihirthaker.com.au/workshop. And Mihir, in terms of, so not only do they get to work with you in person on the workshop, but there are a few other things included as part of the package. Is that right? You want to maybe just share a little bit about what that is?
There are tons of bonuses included. Essentially, after the workshop, I will be working with them one-on-one to essentially create the whole strategy, that even if they went out and just implemented that strategy, that is guaranteed to make them money in their business right away. Right.
Yeah, and I think I think for me that's one of the biggest things. Like the workshop is valuable because your content is so incredible, and especially how it's going to be experiential. But I love this piece that you've added in there, which is that strategy session. Direct working with you, which normally costs thousands and thousands of dollars to get to spend some time with you on strategy sessions. And so I love that piece that they actually get access to. And this is, it goes back to this piece of who you are fundamentally and what you're doing with your clients is really about, you want to see them succeed, you want to see them deliver results. And I get that that's a really big important piece to get them rolling, which is great.
I think so, and personally for me, I love giving at that level where I really want to make sure that they are fully equipped in terms of how they go about creating that success. So that's one of the biggest things that we have. And then of course there's a ton of business resources, contents and templates and things like that they can use immediately, so as to start structuring and understanding where their business is at, where their messaging is at, who are the right set of customers that they need to be approaching and working with, and how to go about just ramping up their sales cycle, how to create greater value in the business that they are already in at the moment.
Great. I'm going to put that link up again so people can see it one more time here. And we'll have it, for those of you who are not on the Google Hangout live here, we'll make sure that this link is below in the comments on the YouTube video. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just head on down to the comments below and you'll be able to click that link. So yeah, because people, this is I know you have a few spots left here, Mihir, and they're going to go fast. And I encourage people to sign up. This is it's a really great opportunity. Oh, we lost that here. We're coming back. Let me make sure that that's popped up for folks there so they can see it. Great. And yeah, so any closing thoughts, Mihir? I mean, my closing thought is like dive in, do the workshop, because not only is it going to make you more money in the future, but it's going to make you happier. And once you get some of these things figured out, the internal, the external, and money just starts showing up, it's a nice place to be. It's a really nice place to be. And Mihir is the best. You really are, Mihir, inside of, if I know you're in Australia, but let me tell you, there would be a lot of folks who would be chomping at the bit to come to you and who are here in the U.S., and I hope we can get you over here one of these days.
I would love to. And same here in Melbourne, actually. The workshop is in Melbourne, and we have quite a few people traveling from interstate from all over the country to be here at this event.
I'm surprised. They should be, yeah. I'd be surprised if you didn't feel people flying in from all over Asia.
Yeah, soon.
Excellent. All right, so sign up for Mihir's Money Experience Workshop. Take a look at him on his website, and and if you haven't done that exercise, rewind back and go do it again, because it's I'm actually really excited to play with this and see how this shows up. And I love that piece. I'll just put in one last little thought here. It was really clear, you identified it, but it was really clear to me when I looked at those sliders as I was doing the exercise. I was like, oh, my want and my excitement is at 85. My fear is at 125, which means it's much higher. Of course, that's not going to show up. My fear is preventing me from getting to that spot. So, in a simple way, you've really highlighted that for me, which is really great. Thank you.
Thanks, Morgan.
Awesome. So have yourself a great rest of the day, and I look forward to hearing all the results about the workshop.
Same here, Morgan. Thank you. Take care.